At long last, the battle has ended, and thus Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
They locked him up, a young school teacher, a dreamer, a man with dangerous ideas. The British colonial government believed that by throwing him into prison, they could silence him. But what they did not understand was this: you can jail a man, but you cannot jail a movement. And when the prison gates opened, that same man would stand before a nation and declare words that would echo across continents. Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. This is not just the story of a president. This is the story of a vision so bold, so radical, so ahead of its time, that it shook empires. This is the story of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Africa's boldest visionary. Before we go deep into this powerful journey, take a second to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell. If you love African history told with truth, depth, and power, you're in the right place. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1909 in Nkroful, in what was then called the Gold Coast. He wasn't born into royalty. He wasn't born into wealth. He was born into colonial rule. His father was a goldsmith. His mother was a trader. Life was modest. But from early on, there was something different about him. He asked questions, big questions. Why were foreigners ruling Africans? Why were Africans treated as second class in their own land? He trained as a teacher. For a while, that seemed like his destiny. But destiny had something bigger planned. In 1935, Nkrumah left for the United States. He had little money. He worked odd jobs, washing dishes, cleaning, doing whatever he could to survive. But while he struggled financially, his mind was expanding. He studied at Lincoln University, then at the University of Pennsylvania. He immersed himself in philosophy, theology, politics, but more importantly, he encountered the black struggle in America. He listened to Marcus Garvey's ideas about black pride. He absorbed W.E.B. Du Bois' intellectual fire. He witnessed racism firsthand, and it sharpened him. In America, he realized something profound. The African struggle was global. After years in the US, he moved to London. There, he connected with other African intellectuals and activists. The winds of change were blowing. World War II had weakened Europe. Colonies were restless. And then, in 1947, the call came. He was invited back to the Gold Coast to serve as General Secretary of the United Gold Coast Convention. But it didn't take long for tension to rise. Nkrumah was impatient. The elites wanted gradual reform. Nkrumah wanted immediate independence. Self-government, now, not tomorrow, not next decade, now. So he broke away and formed the Convention People's Party, CPP, and that is when everything changed. He mobilized market women, workers, youth, farmers. He spoke in simple language, not elite language. He spoke to the masses. The British saw the fire spreading. Strikes broke out. Demonstrations intensified, so they arrested him. In 1950, Kwame Nkrumah was imprisoned. But here's what made him different. From prison, he ran for office, and he won. Imagine that. A man behind bars, elected by the people. The British had no choice. They released him. By 1951, he became leader of government business. By 1952, Prime Minister, and then came the night that changed Africa forever. March 6, 1957. Crowds filled the streets of Accra. The Union Jack was lowered. The red, gold, and green flag was raised. Nkrumah stood before the world and declared independence. But he did not stop there. He said, "The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Africa." That sentence alone tells you who he was. He wasn't thinking small. He wasn't thinking local. He was thinking continental. Nkrumah believed Africa must unite politically and economically. He pushed for a United States of Africa, one army, one foreign policy, one currency. Many leaders admired him, others feared his speed. At home, he launched massive projects: the Akasembo Dam to power industry, Tema Harbor to open Ghana to global trade, factories across the country to industrialize rapidly, schools, universities, infrastructure. He invested heavily in education. He wanted Africans to think for themselves. But ambition has a cost. The spending was enormous. Ghana's cocoa prices fell. Debt increased. Opposition grew louder. Nkrumah grew more defensive. He passed the Preventive Detention Act, allowing detention without trial. Critics were jailed. Supporters said he was protecting the revolution. Opponents said he was becoming authoritarian. This is where his story becomes complex. Was he a visionary ahead of his time, or a leader overwhelmed by power and pressure? The Cold War intensified everything. The United States watched him closely. The Soviet Union courted him. Nkrumah leaned toward socialist policies. He believed Africa must control its own resources. He warned about neocolonialism, a new form of control through economics rather than direct rule. In 1965, he published Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism. It angered powerful nations. And then, in 1966, while Nkrumah was on a peace mission to Vietnam, it happened: a coup. The military took over. His government collapsed overnight. The man who had declared independence was overthrown while abroad. He would never rule Ghana again. He went into exile in Guinea. President Sékou Touré welcomed him as co-president in symbolic solidarity. But exile is painful. The visionary who dreamed of uniting Africa now watched from a distance as Ghana moved in another direction. In 1972, Kwame Nkrumah died in Romania, far from home. His body was later returned to Ghana, and today his mausoleum stands in Accra, a reminder of a man who dared to think beyond borders. So what is his legacy? Every African nation that gained independence after 1957 was influenced by Ghana's breakthrough, the Organization of African Unity. Now African Union was shaped by his Pan-African ideals. His warnings about economic dependency still echo today, and yet debates continue. Some remember him as a hero, some criticize his centralized power, some believe he moved too fast, others believe he did not move fast enough. But no one can deny this. He changed the course of African history. He forced the world to see Africa differently. He believed Africans were capable of governing themselves, industrializing, and uniting. He believed in dignity. He believed in sovereignty. He believed in a future that many were too afraid to imagine. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was not perfect, but bold visionaries rarely are. They disturb comfort. They challenge systems. They pay prices. And sometimes, history only understands them decades later. As you reflect on his journey from Nkroful to prison, from prison to presidency, from presidency to exile, ask yourself, what does Africa still owe to that dream? If you've been inspired by this powerful story, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss deep African history like this. Because the story of Africa is not small, and neither was Kwame